Alright guys, we were talking earlier about how to use the Measurequick app to find your target superheat on a system without having to enter all the information into Measurequick. So you want to first select, instead of TXV, piston, because we're doing this primarily on a piston system. Then the only things you need to enter is you go to your outdoor settings, outdoor readings, go to your outdoor measurements, enter in your low pressure side, which in this case we'll use 120 psi, and then you do suction line temperature. In this case we'll measure 60 psi, or sorry, 60 degrees. You'll also want to enter your outdoor air temperature. So in this case we'll measure 75 degrees. And the only other thing it needs is your indoor wet bulb. So you'll go to your indoor measurements right there, the house, indoor measurements, and you'll type your return air temperature. I enter both the dry and wet, 75, and then your return wet we'll say is 65. I've had issues with trying to enter just the wet bulb. It wouldn't save for me for some reason, so I don't know if you'll have different luck with that, but anyways, I do wet and dry for the return. Submit, and then you can go to your outdoor measurements again. That's the sun picture, and you'll see your superheat right there is 19.7. That is what your actual superheat is. If you want to find out your target, you just click superheat, and it'll give you your ideal range, but what you're looking at is your calculated target. So your calculated target is 19.8, and we're sitting at 19.7, so that means we're right on the money. You can see if we change the numbers a little bit, let's go back to outdoor measurements. So we'll say our suction line temp is 70 instead of 60. We'll see what that gets us. So now it says our superheat's too high. We'll click that. Our target is still 19.8 degrees, but we're at 29.7, so that you know that you either have a restriction or you need to add refrigerant. So that's how you use that. I didn't enter any other information. That's all you need to find your target superheat. If you want to continue troubleshooting, the more information you enter, the better, and then you hit this red flag up here. Once you enter all your pressures outside and all your temperatures inside, it's able to troubleshoot the system. So if you don't want to use a chart to find your troubleshooting, you can use this app. Yellow flags are minor faults, red flags are major faults. In this case, our major fault is that we didn't enter enough information. But if you have something serious going on with your system, you can go through here and clear out any faults that don't pertain to you, and then that kind of narrows it down to what you're dealing with. So this is great for diagnosis. I also encourage, if you're doing tune-ups, to use the non-invasive test, and that would be this one, non-invasive AC or heat pump. And you will do this test without hooking up your gauges, and if it tells you that you've got issues with the system, you can continue and put on your gauges and do an actual in-depth test. But this keeps you from releasing refrigerant or potentially contaminating the system just to do a tune-up. And it makes your tune-up go a bit faster too. So here's how it looks in non-invasive mode. It gives you different parameters to enter. It estimates your low and high pressure depending on the temperatures you're getting out of your system. So all you would enter is your suction line temp, liquid line temp, discharge line temp. I don't always enter that. And your outdoor air temperature, along with your indoor measurements. And you enter all that, and it takes into account your system information. So that's something extra you might need to enter, such as your SEER rating. If you're using an older SEER system, you probably want to do 10 to 12 SEER, and it's going to estimate that your condensing temperature is 25 degrees above ambient as opposed to 20 degrees. That's important to set those things to get an accurate read of what your compressor and condenser are doing. But anyways, it's something to play with. I recommend doing non-invasive, again, if you're just doing a tune-up, and then if you suspect a problem, then you can put your gauges on and do a full tune-up. So you'll click that, and go back to your full AC inspection, and then you can enter your pressures as well as your temperatures, and that'll narrow down what your issue is.